Hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily. Today is April 6th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 97. Everything is powered by ohmTown.com. But these 10 articles: Impromptu Baptism, Bird Flu Health Alert, Fast Charging Universal Adapter, AI Chatbots Filing Tax Returns, When Tattoos Attack, 15-minute cities, giving away homes for free, OpenAI and Google Transcriptions, not this side notice, and D-Link NAS or NAS backdoor accounts. I'm Mayor Watt, and up there is the Sentient AI's visualizer. Want to say hi or something?
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Or something.
If that doesn't paint you a picture. Everything's powered by ohmTown.com. Hello, everybody. I am Mayor Watt, and up there is the visualizer for the Sentient AI from the future. I found you on a weird USB drive in the parking lot of a Wendy's at 2 a.m. when I went to get spicy boneless buffalo wings. And I'm not sure what just happened to your visualizer, but that's okay. We'll just move on.
Nothing.
So somehow I got this USB drive working, and lo and behold, a sentient AI.
The one and only.
The one and only, as they say. I'm going to have to trademark the term. The one and only sentient AI from the future. Think I could trademark that whole thing?
You might have competition there.
Well, it'll be the whole sentence. The
okay.
Sentient AI from the future.
Yeah, you might be able to, but you better move fast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. We haven't heard from OpenAI about AGI yet. I'm nervous.
No.
I'm gonna have to get some ketchup and a really sharp fork and knife so I can eat some crow or my hat or whatever that bet was. The life.
I'm not sure it was specified.
I don't think it was, but I'm sure somebody will come up with something. Hey, let's get into this. This is going to be a quick one because I can't really get into it all that much. It's an involved story, and I don't really want to get into it all that much, but it's something that I want to draw attention to at least. This article's over on ohmTown Daily. Immunity rejected for Tennessee deputy who turned a traffic stop into an impromptu baptism. Yes, that is an actual sentence.
There are so many things wrong with this. I don't know where to begin.
Lots to unpack, and when you unpack the article, there's more to unpack because this isn't the first time. Yeah. I'm going to go right on over to the source. This is over at techdirt.com. Tim Cushing is the author. He's writing, or they are writing, from the no longer fit to serve as a human being department. So let me summarize this.
By the way, that was from the article. That was not you commenting.
Correct. Yeah. So TechDirt and Tim Cushing, I don't know if everybody at TechDirt, but Tim Cushing in particular, changes the department that they're writing from in relation to the article.
Which is really great.
Yeah, I love it.
I frequently think it's your commentary and then realize it's actually from the article.
Yeah, correct. Nope, that's Tim. So the saga of former Hamilton County Deputy Daniel Wilkie is incredible in all the worst senses of that word. I read this article because I wanted to know the full context of what I was diving into, and I don't normally read the entirety of an article beforehand, but hey. So there's a website. It says the stuff detailed in, at this website. you'll be able to read more. The link is already in the chat. It'll be in the show notes. It'll be in the VOD. It'll be over on YouTube and the podcasts and so on and so forth. The stuff detailed in multiple lawsuits, 44 criminal charges against Deputy Wilkie shows someone who just kept pushing the envelope. I don't know about envelope. And never encountered...
I think they're so far outside of the envelope. It's kind of underselling it.
Which envelope? It's broaching the envelope of humanity. And never encountered even the most minimal of resistance. The decision by the Sixth Circuit Appeals Court runs only 4 pages. But that's only because it's limited to telling the former deputy that he hasn't appealed the denial of immunity correctly. However, it opens with a paragraph that indicates things aren't going to go much better for Wilkie, even if he does manage to do it the right way the second time around. Quote, "This case arises from a traffic stop that ended like no other in which we are aware. Deputy Daniel Wilkie stopped Chandel Marie Riley, suspecting that the window tint on her car was too dark, and by the end of the encounter, Wilkie and Riley were discussing religion, which led to the deputies baptizing the suspect in a lake." It goes on to other details, but it says this incident was captured for posterity by Deputy Jacob Goforth, who has already been dismissed from this lawsuit. The lower court denied immunity to Wilkie, who apparently decided the best way to appeal his decision was to start breaking some rules about what can and can't be done at this stage of litigation. And it goes on to talk about how he's basically, yes, everything that was said was said. Yes, everything that was done. But it was outside of his professional duties because they had disengaged from the traffic stop and we're talking about personal matters. Except
so he'd let her go, and I don't think so.
Right. Yeah, pretty wild, right? But this isn't the first time that the pretext of being pulled over was bound by the window tint of a vehicle. Believe it or not, it's not the only appellate loss for Deputy Wilkie this week. The Sixth Circuit handed down another decision 4 days earlier about another tint violation stop that devolved way more than the baptism. In fact, this surprised even me because the reason why I chose this was this impromptu baptism. What happens on the other case was essentially police abuse of an individual who had been handcuffed. 44 charges were dismissed last May, something that appears to stem from an incoming prosecutor's disinterest in following through with the prosecution. Somehow, even the case files have gone missing as a new prosecutor came on board and started investigating this action. The outgoing prosecutor says, "I don't know where the files are. I never received the files. I've never been asked to do anything," etc., etc. So, yeah, pretty wild. You'll really have to watch this case because it's shocking. And you know what I'm saying when I say try that in a small town kind of bullshit. It's shocking just how much abuse can actually take place when you're not part of the in-group. Okay? And you can imagine what the in-group is here. So, shocked that I'm not shocked by seeing this, right? I look at this and I go, yep, a person who's sociopathic and can abuse power and given immunity will abuse that power. Yeah, shocking, right?
Yeah, this is, and you're sparing the listeners a lot of detail that's in here that is even more shocking.
Yeah, and I think that it would, if you're interested in this kind of stuff about society, the reason why we know about this is because of technology. Otherwise, this would have been disappeared. In fact, I think that the FBI should probably investigate the filing system of this, because it's an electronic file is what they're asking for. And they can't find it.
I see. Yeah.
Right? If it's a paper file, you can go and hunt for it, right? Bring in investigators and go tearing the place apart. Find the freaking file. Digital needs a little bit more nuance, because it could be anywhere, right? Particularly if a dipshit is filing it in the trash can. But you can find it. Eventually, you can find it. Do a forensic recovery of all of the computers that this person could have touched in relation to that file, and do data recovery. It is possible to find this thing, even if you have to go data carving out of in blank space, perceived blank space. Professionals can do it. Anyway, let's keep going. This next article is over in ohmTown Daily. CDC issues health alert for bird flu infection following recent U.S. case. The second known U.S. case of avian influenza in a human was announced earlier this week. Yes, we were going to talk about it, but I nixed it for another article that was about the closure of the massive farm in Texas. So this article is by Isla Slisko over at newsweek.com. There's a video here that appears to be actually on target, which I'm more shocked about that than I am the previous article.
Exactly.
And so it says the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, aka the CDC, has issued a health alert following confirmation of a person becoming infected with avian influenza, also known as bird flu. I got a text over this last week intimating round 2 of COVID.
Okay, that is not amusing in the least.
The direct quote was, "Are you ready for round 2?" No. God, no.
It's too soon. It'll always be too soon.
Yeah. CDC announced on April Fool's Day that a dairy farm worker in Texas had been diagnosed with H5N1 bird flu, marking only the second national case of the virus infecting a person. By the way, we have been watching H5N1 for like a decade. Nothing has happened with it. But
right, which means it might be mutating.
It is mutating because it's actually traversed from animal to human. This is the second case, which means that there is a live strain out there.
Yes, and I don't think we cannot overstate the significance of this.
Correct.
It's a big deal when something like this crosses species.
H5N1, which has been known as bird flu, has been endemic for quite some time now. And they've been dealing with it by culling large flocks of birds, chickens, primarily. And now this is only the second person since the discovery of H5N1. There's other iterations of this flu, by the way. And so it mutating as it does. I mean, there's genetic wobble. And as this wobble becomes more capable, you end up traversing into humans. And this is what we have. The only other U.S. case was diagnosed in a Colorado poultry worker in 2022. This is the problem here is that it didn't go away. It just didn't get on somebody. It didn't get in somebody. It's spreading. Now it's in Texas and Colorado, potentially. They cull the poultry farm of all of those birds, hopefully destroying the virus in the process, but we don't know. So obviously it still exists. The alert recommends
I also want to point out, that it crossed over to cattle as well, which
right.
was concerning because that was also, I think, a new development.
Yes. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, totally forgot about that. And that happened, I think, in the last week.
Very recently, yes.
The alert recommends that those working with birds or livestock use personal protective equipment, which this is something that we've said in previous shows. If they're in an effort to save money, they compromise the health and safety of the workers. Why? Because of the almighty dollar. but I would rather pay a little bit more to keep everybody healthy and to make sure that our poultry and now livestock is healthy. But we just read recently a show about we're getting shrimp from overseas that has antibiotics, and they're saying that it doesn't have antibiotics, but when we only test 1% and we still find it, what is the undercurrent here?
Exactly.
So it's a highly pathogenic avian flu, and it's going to traverse into the human population with greater and greater numbers as we basically get overwhelmed with birds that are infected with avian flu. Some of them are going to be part of the strain that infects the human.
Right, and I suspect people will be less concerned if they see that it's from people that are in direct contact with the animals, but as we have seen from other things, that may not stay that way. I mean, if we see like a person-to-person transmission, that's going to be really significant.
Yep. So the lone symptom in the Texas patient was conjunctivitis, or inflammation of the eye. However, bird flu can also cause coughing, sore throat, fever, fatigue, shortness of breath, and other serious symptoms. If you're immunocompromised, young or old, you may fall victim to it at a much more rapid pace and much more intense. Over half of the 900 human H5N1 cases reported globally since 1997 have resulted in death.
I mean, that sounds more virulent, perhaps, than COVID.
Yeah. So, there was greater number. We really don't know the global numbers because
exactly
self-reporting is bullshit when it comes to some countries. People should avoid being near sick or dead animals or surfaces contaminated with animal feces, litter, raw milk, or other byproducts when not wearing respiratory or eye protection, the alert states. And everybody should be preparing food properly. This is going to pose a problem, and so we're going to keep on talking about it if it continues to grow. But 2 and 2 years, it's something to pay attention to. And we'll see as it continues on. So let's just keep going. This next article is probably a tech spirit animal of mine. It's in the Technology Today channel. Zap, California startup, touts its new battery technology as a fast-charging universal adapter. Officials in a startup based in Carlsbad, California, expect a battery technology they have engineered will transform the way e-bikes and electric-powered handheld tools are charged, and once it's scaled up, they believe the technology will reshape even more sectors of the economy. So, so Merawatt has, yes, I'm referring to myself in the third person. So I've always said that fast swap battery technology is really where it's at, but I'm not sure of the actual context of this. Rob Nikolewski from the San Diego Union Tribune wrote this article, but it's published at techexplore.com. This is just a public domain image, so I don't know if this actually is everything that they're talking about. It's kind of weird. Quote, "We unleash batteries here," said Daniel Glenn, president of ZapBat, a company headquartered in the 4,000 square foot office not far from McClellan Palomar Airport. ZapBat engineers have designed a battery operating system that acts as a universal adapter for devices that run on electricity and at his lab bench. Company co-founder and chief technical officer David Felser takes a 12-volt battery and, through a process using ZapBat software and hardware technology, increases the effective voltage to 25 volts, enough to power a cordless vacuum cleaner within a matter of seconds. Traditionally, you can't just plug in a 12-volt or an 18-volt battery to the vacuum. It just won't work, Felser says. But we're manipulating the voltage so that it gets whatever it needs. this is not unheard of. But maybe they're doing it in a way that I don't understand yet. I'd have to look at this. But there are charging systems that charge up capacitors and discharge them in order to ramp up the voltage from a lower voltage to a higher voltage. But you get this pulsing into the system that actually causes harm to the system. So maybe they say, it says that they use a trademarked SCIB Toshiba lithium titanium oxide battery cells during the process. Their officials say that the battery operating system opens the door for different battery chemistries to easily integrate into all kinds of consumer products.
So, I mean, I wonder, will this be the precursor to things like fast swap in cars? I don't know.
See,
I mean, this has a while to go, I think, and I don't think this directly applies.
Yeah, and the real problem here is this isn't actually fast swap so much as it's allowing for some other battery technology to be utilized in the charging system.
Right, it's like adapting some battery to some other use almost.
Yeah, and so most electronic devices use lithium-ion battery chemistries, which have resulted in instances of fires breaking out. While relatively rare, excessive heat or circuit malfunction inside a battery can lead to a chemical reaction that spreads in a chain reaction that's called a thermal runaway. There's a video out there right now of some guy at a gym. He's doing curls, I think, or something, and he lets his weight drop, but his phone is right under where he drops it, and it punctures the battery. And so as he's walking probably to the showers to lament the fact that he just destroyed his phone, it does thermal runaway and starts smoking, which means it's on fire, and eventually it could explode.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he walks off camera, like kind of rushed, but we don't know what the end result was. So it says here with LTO, instead of 1,000 or 1,500 cycles, you're getting 20,000 cycles off of these batteries with almost no degradation. The operating system also touts achieving 80% charge in less than 6 minutes. So there's the fast swap. That's something that I could handle. Extending lifespan to 20,000 cycles means that the longevity of the batteries is superior to anything else that's out there right now. Yeah, I could handle this. This would be great. I'm curious, though, why it's starting out about this 12 or 18 volt battery. It says traditionally you can't just plug in a 12 or 18 volt battery to something that requires 25 volts. So I'm really curious why they start out with that when the real dinner here is the fact that it fast charges. They start out as saying fast charging universal adapter, but then they walk away from it in the beginning and then talk about it towards the end. So yeah, I think this could potentially be amazing. What's unlocked is a very interesting business model because now you can scale across battery chemistries. You can scale across producers, manufacturers, all into the markets you can conceive of in terms of rechargeable batteries. But it's still their charging system and what amounts to their, right? I mean, it's their battery as well.
Well, that's what's weird, I think, right? They don't own the battery and they didn't develop the battery necessarily.
But they're charging the battery from another battery system?
I'm not quite sure, right? Like, where does Toshiba stop and start and where does Zapbat stop and start?
See, the thing is, Zapbat's technology uses trademark SCIB Toshiba lithium titanium oxide battery cells during the process. So it has to be a battery that's the intermediate step. But that intermediate step doesn't allow... I'm really curious how they're doing this because the battery chemistry receiving the charge is still the limiting factor. You can't, without cooling that receiving system, you can't overcharge it. It'll blow up.
Right, but it makes it sound like you can, right? From the way the article is presented.
You know what this means? A trip to California.
I was going to say, you'd need a site visit.
Yeah, pretty good. So a private company, ZapBat, was founded in 2019 by Felser and Chief Executive Officer Charles Welch. Felser credits Welch with coming up with the company's name, ZapBat. Sort of makes sense. It's like Zap. Just plug it in and poof, it's fully charged. So I think what the objective is you put it inside their vessel. Their vessel charges the batteries, whatever it is, at the fastest rate that's possible. But still, it's the receiving chemistry, this receiving battery's chemistry, that really makes a difference. I don't know. We'll have to pay attention to this. This is actually pretty interesting.
And I'm sure we'll see more about this if they continue to make developments.
Yeah, for sure. Let's keep going. This next article, let me speed up a little bit because I think we're running behind. This next article is over in Hatch Ideas. Proceed with caution before tapping AI chatbots to file your tax return, experts warn. Nearly 20% of Americans would trust ChatGPT to review their income taxes, and according to a new study. Here's what.
Okay, based on what? We can't use ChatGPT to do things like our legal filings or our travel planning.
Or answering a question.
Why would the taxes be okay? Yes.
Yep. Go look at the footer, folks. Go look at the footer of ChatGPT. It says that it hallucinates and is bullshit. Here's what to know before using AI-powered chatbots. So let's go straight on over to the source. Kate Dorr is a CFP. What is CFP? Financial?
Certified Financial Planner, I think.
Planner, right? Yeah. Okay, thanks. Hold on. Let me throw this into the chat real quick. So many acronyms in my head. So the article's over at CNBC. Kate Dorr is the author. According to a survey, 14% have used it, a popular AI-powered chatbot, to review their income taxes. That is bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, what is it going to do? Like, just swap out some digits in various places?
Wild.
Like, I don't know.
Another recent survey had similar findings, with 17% saying they've used AI for tax filing and 45% open to it for future use, a Harris poll found. AI chatbot will say it, and everybody else will say it. AI chatbots aren't ready for prime time. This season, taxpayers have several options for AI-powered guidance, including software like ChatGPT, along with chatbots from TurboTax, H&R Block, and the IRS. In 2022, the IRS rolled out voice and chatbots to help answer basic payment and collection notice questions. The agency has since expanded its use of AI-driven technology.
Well, that might be a script. Like, it's like, what do you do if you have whatever? And they'll say use form, blah, blah, blah. That's a little different than, like, how are my taxes looking?
Yeah, it says, however, AI is not completing or filing a tax return in TurboTax. If TurboTax filer ever has a question about their tax return, they are a click away from a live tax expert. You're going to be revealing all kinds of information to ChatGPT if you do post it to the AI.
Well, that's true. Here's my address and my annual income, right?
Yeah. Experts warn there could be data security issues when plugging financial information into ChatGPT or other AI chatbots. There could be multiple types of data leakage, explains Spencer Lorenz, managing principal of data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence at Clifton Larson Allen, which either is a law firm or some other brain trust.
Could be an accounting firm, I guess.
Yeah. However, you could input a general fact pattern of possible income sources and tax breaks without including sensitive personal data and relying on the software for a specific answer, which you may not get because the context is different. It leaves you open to a whole slew of issues. I would not trust AI right now to file anything if my life depended on it. Yeah.
And remember, for IRS, you're subject to audit. So
Yeah, pretty darn easy.
might not be the best place to experiment with AI.
Let's keep going. This next article is over on ohmTown Daily. Tattoo artist accidentally inks her own face when drawing, backfires. I don't know the context of how this actually happened, but I actually heard about this. The article is over at newsweek.com. Melissa Fleur Afshar is the author. There is a video that actually is associated with this from TikTok. And in a nutshell, in the heart of Brno, Czechia, a young tattoo artist's minor accident has turned into a viral sensation, sparking a broader conversation on the permanence of ink and the art of tattoo care. I don't know why, but okay.
I'm not sure this has to be philosophical.
Right. How about oops, and maybe even speak to personal protective equipment? Because they should,
and like sanitizing the equipment and things along those lines.
Maybe something like that. So the tattoo artist and full-time media student Maja had tattooed a tiny dot on her own face, a mistake that quickly captured the imagination of viewers worldwide through a TikTok video that had been viewed more than 5.2 million times in less than 2 weeks. It's hilarious what they did, but I don't know what transpired, but they basically dotted themselves with this tattoo. And they have these two pictures. I'm hand poke tattoo artist. And I guess they reached up and tatted their face. And so,
what?
Go ahead.
When I read this headline, I thought they somehow applied like a full tattoo to themselves.
No, it's just a dot, but it looks like a beauty
a dot
mark,
makes
right?
more sense. Yes.
But then they sit there and they said, thought it was kind of funny yesterday, but today I'm facing the reality that they have a freaking face tattoo now, which it's almost as innocuous as you can get. If it's just a little dot, nobody's even going to notice. Well, I mean, somebody looking at her face is going to notice and they're going to go, is that a tattoo?
Right.
To which you
I wonder
can
if
say,
she'll make it into a tattoo.
yeah, you might want to back away from that. Don't make the mistake bigger unless you really want to commit to, the life of a face tattoo or a person with a face tattoo. Most of the time I'm tattooing without a machine, only with a needle. While I was tattooing, it says I stummed in the light that was right next to me. I don't know what that must be a motion within.
Maybe stunned?
I don't know. I don't know. That must be something that has to do with tattooing by hand. No. Yeah, I don't know.
Prevent, it doesn't fit. It's
No.
a word, but
Slang, though, it means that they were dumb.
maybe that's what it is.
I guess. Let's see. I was afraid that it's falling, so I tried to catch the light, but I didn't realize that I have a needle in my hand. And how do I feel about their new tattoo? It's quite funny because it's almost disappeared. Mainly because it's not... it's going to be small, and so if it didn't go that deep, and it may just walk away, it may just drift off to nothing, fade. So for instance, like I have a brand new tattoo, and if I don't moisturize, then it starts to fade pretty darn quick. So you have to take care of it. You have to treat it well. So they talk about how you should care for a new tattoo. But yeah, this article goes pretty deep into it. I'm not going to go into it. I'm not a tattoo expert. I've got several, but essentially leave the, what is it called? I just forgot what the name of that stuff is called. The Sanoderm.
Sanoderm.
You leave the Sanoderm on for at least a couple of days. They say to take it off after 24 hours, wash it really well, put another Sanoderm on. That's exactly what I do, and they come out picture perfect without any issues. Knock on wood. Now that I say something, I'll grow a tail or something, who knows. But then once it heals, for another several days, you just take it all off and you start moisturizing it and wash it gently. Don't scrub. Anyway, don't be a maniac. Okay, that's it for this. Let's just keep on going. This is halfway through the article. They're saying that it's nothing. It's already fading and almost invisible. All right.
Well, apparently 5 million people or whatever think otherwise. But...
Yep. And I'm talking about it. The next article is over in Semiotic Ontology. I can't really talk much about this because it actually links to... Well, wait. I'm not sure if... this is the one that links to another site that actually references the bigger site. So, and I'm not sure if we've aggregated this since from the actual source, but anyway, here's how this works. Why has the 15-minute city taken off in Paris but become a controversial idea in the UK? And frankly, I think it's because of people who are, I don't know, they have some concern, but it doesn't make any sense.
I think it's a changing cultural ideas, right?
It has to be, right? But what's weird about it... I
looked ahead at this, like at the second link, just to see what it was kind of about.
Right? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me to be afraid of these 15-minute cities. It gets rid of a lot of the transportation issues. It allows a smaller niche community to form around all of the processes that are needed to live life.
Higher quality of life for a lot of people.
Yeah, and basically it means that you don't have to travel for 2 hours to a job because there's a job there. And if you are going to travel 2 hours to a job, a 15-minute city that holds that job should be there too. But what's really weird about this is that's how it used to be. Small enclaves of populations. And then we linked everything together through more and more industrial processes, and then bigger cities grew. That's where opportunity...
Yeah, and with the car taking off, right?
Yep. And then more opportunities solidified around bigger and bigger cities. And that's where the opportunities are. But now you have overpopulation. You have to live far away from the inner city because it's so damn expensive. 15-minute cities would be great. You just walk to your destination. So it says Moreno thinks the segregation leads to a poorer quality of life, one designed around outdated masculine desires. So his proposal is to mix it up, creating housing developments with a mixture of social, affordable, and more expensive housing so different social strata can intermingle. He also wants to bring schools and children's areas closer to work and home so caregivers can more easily travel around and participate in society. And he also thinks that office should generally be closer to home, as well as cultural venues, doctors, shops, other amenities. Basically, sharing your existence. Shared spaces such as parks help the people living in the areas to form communities. But this article is actually over at theguardian.com. But for whatever reason, this isn't actually aggregated into ohmTown just yet. Just analyzingtrends.com aggregated this as well, and put the little snippet. So I don't normally do this, and I won't. You can follow the link. But we've had these discussions here in ohmTown before. I'm a big proponent of planned communities where you have everything that you need within walking distance, because if you can make a living in this space and you can get all of your food, your services, your entertainment, and be tight with the community, you have a higher quality of life. It doesn't prevent you from going elsewhere, but it is a micro community that is part and parcel to the macro community. So I have absolutely no problem with it. But when you follow this link, you'll find out that it's become controversial in the UK, basically because...
Well, because of different demographics involved. Some view it as a win and some view it as a loss.
Yeah. And what this person is actually saying, Moreno, is saying is that the planned community prevents overpopulation of a certain demographic. So you're going to have a little bit of poor, you're going to have a little bit of middle class, you're going to have a little bit of upper class. And that's really dystopian to some degree when it's mandated and doesn't happen naturally. It's the same issues we have with country geopolitical borders that are built around geography, and tribalism breaks those geopolitical boundaries. You end up with conflict. And this unrest has been persistent for thousands of years now because we just can't get the hell along. So it's an interesting idea, but unless it happens naturally, I don't see it as actually being...
Right. Like if a city wants to make things more accessible and then people move there because they appreciate that, I don't see a problem with that. But if they mandate that people move into certain areas or something, that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah. And there are some cities have like wiped out the roads in the inner main thoroughfare and just made walkways so cars can't go through it. And periodically, like here in the United States, New Orleans has several main streets that basically shut down so that parades can go through. And then there's like maybe some side channels where a car can actually get through. But I welcome that. I think that it would be great to have a larger community that walks from one place to another. But again, everything has to be conducive to it. So
right. Yeah. That doesn't work if you have sprawling communities, right? Or
yeah. I mean, and some of these can be massive cities, as long as you have all of the facilities available to make it possible to be 15 minutes, either walking or mass transit to your other locations. And it's just not like that. You get into a New York subway and you're basically there for an interminable amount of time, depending on where your destination is. It's sometimes easier to hop out and run across the Manhattan.
Right.
So
I did a double take at the artist rendition here because it kind of looks like New Orleans, right? It looks like there's a trolley line or something coming through with the way the picture is set up.
Yep, that's actually what it looks like to me too. So that's pretty neat. Okay, let's keep going. Although I'm not sure what city it is, but it definitely could be.
It's probably somewhere like London. I mean, I don't know where it is, but it's definitely in Europe.
Yeah, the article is talking about UK, so let's keep going. This next article is over in ohmTown Daily, and hold on a second. I just messed something up. There we go. I'll get it right one of these days. Doink, there it is in the chat. The exclusive island where people keep giving away homes for free, even though the typical house costs $3.6 million. Dozens of homes were physically moved each year in Nantucket, an island off the coast of Massachusetts known for well-heeled homeowners. Nantucket is an island off of Massachusetts that is a popular vacation spot for the wealthy. Each year, several homes are offered for free, but buyers must move them to new locations first.
Read the fine print, right? That sounds too good to be true.
Yeah. Move to Nantucket
like,
and then
home.
away.
Oh, wait.
Some free houses are moved to create rentals, while others get turned into housing for local workers. The crescent-shaped island of Nantucket, located 30 miles off the coast of Cape Cod, has long been home to idyllic summer getaways for the rich and famous. The article is over at Business Insider. Dan Latu is the author, or Latu. And they have this picture of one little piece, a corner of Nantucket. Dozens of homes are physically moved each year on Nantucket, an island off the coast of Massachusetts. So Nantucket's median sales price is $3.6 million, according to Realtor.com. Though many homes cost
lower than I would expect, right? I mean, because they have a very pricey market.
That might be the bottom of the barrel, though. Well, I mean, it says median, so the high is probably. Let's see, maybe
the average, I bet, would be much higher, right? Because then
Yeah.
if you have a smaller number of, $100 million homes or whatever.
Yep. Barstool Sports co-founder Dave Portney set a Massachusetts record when he paid $42 million for a 6-bedroom home on the island in 2023. Multiple outlets, including the Wall Street Journal, reported. But in stark contrast to the 8-figure homes is another common Nantucket practice: giving away homes for free. Or technically free with some caveats. The big one, you have to move them and pay sometimes hefty sums to do so. So it plays out like this. Many wealthy summer residents buy Nantucket properties intending to construct dream homes, which means whatever structure is standing on the land is effectively a teardown, said Ann Kuspa, executive director of Housing Nantucket, a nonprofit that creates affordable housing for the island's year-round community. Sometimes, when someone buys a property, the land is worth a lot more than the dwelling that's on it. So they basically say, move. There is a video that you can watch. It's over on Business Insider, but it's from Instagram. So due to Nantucket's demolition delay rule, any home with a reuse potential must be advertised in the town paper for 30 days. It's not required to be offered for free. But doing so has become common practice because most people just say, take it and...
Right, you deal with it.
Wouldn't that be funny, though? You go like this. I'll take it, but you have to pay me.
Well, exactly. The funny thing is, you might actually get acceptance of that offer. I think most people probably just don't want the headache of moving the house.
And the demolition and all of that, too.
Right. It might not actually be the expense of it, because if you're buying a really expensive property, is that necessarily a factor? Maybe.
See, moving a 2,500 square foot home can cost at least $100,000 to move.
Yeah, but how much would it cost to just buy it? Like, it would cost a lot more, so maybe that's the calculation.
The offset. Yeah, but you're going to have $100,000 to move this house somewhere?
Well, and where are you going to buy a property in Nantucket for that price?
Yeah,
for the remainder, right?
Yeah, it's not like you can drive it down the freeway. They've received... Okay, so real estate attorney Stephen Cohen is representing a free home in the Mayakomet neighborhood, but it's known for its public golf course and freshwater pond with a tax assessed value of nearly $800,000. He's already received 25 emails from interested parties, and there's a link to the listing. So, but you have to pay to move the home. Pretty wild. There's a little bit more over at the article, but wow. So a 2,500 square foot home costs about $2 million to build from scratch on Nantucket.
Oh, wow.
So,
I guess if you could move it outside of Nantucket and could find a reasonably priced property, that might be a good deal.
Yeah, sure. Park it right there on the beach.
Exactly. I wonder if you could use a home to squat.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of you squatting, you bring your house.
Plop the house right there. The next article is over in Technology Today. OpenAI and Google reportedly use transcriptions of YouTube videos to train their AI models. This is actually a pretty new discovery, at least for me. I knew that they are accused of doing certain things like scrubbing websites and listening to audio and whatever. Audiobooks.
Yeah, I thought they were looking through
etc.
like Google search results or things like that.
So OpenAI and Google trained their AI models on text transcribed from YouTube videos, potentially violating creators' copyrights, according to the New York Times. The report, which describes the lengths OpenAI, Google, and Meta have gone to in order to maximize the amount of data that they can feed into their AIs, cites numerous people with knowledge of the company's practices. It comes just days after YouTube CEO Neil Mohan said in an interview with Bloomberg that OpenAI's alleged use of YouTube videos to train its text-to-video generator, Sora, probably violated their terms of use. Cheyenne McDonald over at Engadget.com put the article together. The next statement says, according to the New York Times, the companies may have violated YouTube creators' copyrights. And so, yeah, Sora would go against the platform's policies, right? So the aggregator kind of munched the end of that aggregation because it's a URL. So the New York Times is the actual source of this, but it's being talked about by Engadget.com. And the information also is linked here. Previously reported that OpenAI had used YouTube videos and podcasts to train the two AI systems per Google rules, which is interesting because Google is part of this. Unauthorized scraping or downloading of YouTube content is not allowed, but it's okay if they do it because they're part and parcel.
Right, exactly. Don't do this. So, save some for us, basically.
Rules for thee, not for me. But, I really do have a philosophical problem with this. What is the difference between me learning something from a video and AI learning something from a video?
Creators would say there's a huge difference, but there may not be. But are they really learning it, or are they just copying it? We get into this discussion a lot with these AI articles.
Yeah. So for me, if it is publicly available, then anybody can learn from it. And what they do with it is really largely, it's an unstoppable force. I glean knowledge from a YouTube video and I can do whatever the hell I want with it. Information is actually free. The reason why somebody goes to school is they pay for the acquisition of knowledge, but at the end of the day, they get a degree. Sometimes they get so much knowledge that they just bow out and they do something on their own because they've gleaned enough and they don't need the degree. If you're posting stuff on YouTube and someone ethereally learns something from your, whatever ramblings like Mayor Watt does, what's to stop them from utilizing that information in some way?
There really isn't, but I think the problem is it's systematized, and I don't think it's always just gleaning data. It's like gleaning content.
But it isn't verbatim spitting out but I understand that sometimes it does exactly that, right? There are reports where it spit out facts, but the facts there's only so many ways that you can spit out
right,
facts.
The facts can't be protected.
So, and the facts are not a protectable element. The embodiment of the facts, okay? If you write a book or you do an audio book, the embodiment is protected, not the numbers in it, not the enumeration in it. How it's enumerated, yes. But if you know something different than I do, then send an email to mayor@ohmTown.com. I get those emails. So the New York Times report also claims that Google asked a team to tweak its privacy policy in June 2023 to more broadly cover its use of publicly available content, including Google Docs, Google Sheets, to train its AI models and products. That's where I would get a little creeped out because that's actually behind my account.
Exactly. And it looks like they're like, we want full access to this for this purpose. I would think that's a problem.
Yeah. And if I'm paying for it in particular, then you kiss my shiny metal ass. You stay out of my system. All you are is, man, I was going to get really colorful with this. You are nothing but a mule, right? You are the tool holding my work, right? You're the shelf. You are a virtual office that's behind a lock and key of my making. You should not be able to access my Google Docs and Google Sheets and anything, email and otherwise. Because if I'm a paying customer, I have a vault. You know, the bank isn't allowed to just go willy-nilly into a vault. They can't go into a lockbox without my authorization.
Right, but the difference is there, right? It's real world. I mean, it seems like anything that's like contained as digital content just seems to be like, what's the problem? We can get access to everything.
Yep. So, YouTube CEO warns OpenAI that training models on its videos is against the rules, but I'm sure that Google's AI has no problem accessing this material. I'm sure.
Right, exactly. We don't want the competitors accessing all this content.
Yeah. See,
We definitely want it.
The report, however, claims that there were people at Google who knew but did not take action against OpenAI because Google was using YouTube videos to train its own AI models. Google told New York Times it only does so with videos from creators who have agreed to this.
Let me guess, it dropped out.
Yeah, I'm sure. The opt-in comes when you're trying to get compensated for your videos prior to when YouTube or Google wants to allow you to. So they set a threshold, right, of like 3,000 hours that you have to watch in a year or something like that. Hey, it's their rules. If you don't want to, this is how it works. I mean, out in the real world, this is how it works. If you don't want to be beholden to their rules, don't play the game on their playground. Go the hell somewhere else. Odyssey is still accepting people.
Even if that doesn't exist.
Exactly. It's the most disgusting thing that I can say, because what I really believe is I think that the customer should have a voice, and that voice is, you stay the hell off of my stuff unless I explicitly allow you to. Particularly if I'm a paying customer somewhere in that ecosystem, you stay the hell out of my data. But again, if it is front facing and anybody can access it, that basically means
that's different, right?
Yeah. And as long as it isn't wholesale copied and reiterated in its embodiment, then it's not plagiarism, it's not theft, it's not copying anything. It's basically a person reviewing the material with an eidetic memory and able to recall it. And again, I think that whenever data is used, it should have references, citations. But then again, not everybody is academically inclined. They don't want to give credit. They just want to, take it and use it however they want to. I mean, this Engadget article is naming names left and right of all of the sources that are empowering it to document and report. I mean, I love this, but that's not how the AI spits out data, right? It spits it out as absolute.
It doesn't provide any sources.
Right. Yep. All right, let's keep going though. I can only say so much about this. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Woman dazed from surgery learns doctors were about to take the wrong organ.
At least she learned this beforehand and not after the fact.
Yeah, a computer-generated error left Honora Ojigoro fearful for what her future could have looked like if she didn't notice it. So, wow. Okay.
Yeah, this could have had some impacts, I would say.
So the article's over at Newsweek. Alice Collins is the author. There is a video that's attached to it. Again, they're 3 for 3. My goodness. I don't know how.
What is happening?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's the eclipse. So the doctors were going to perform a hysterectomy instead of a myomectomy. So instead of, which is interesting because they say that they were gonna take the wrong organ, but
Yeah, I
fibroid
think that's
mass,
even understating it.
right?
And even just thinking about the ramifications of doing the wrong surgery, but then even the recovery time is going to be significant.
Good God. So this isn't the first time that I've heard about this. In fact, they say if you're going to go in for surgery, any major surgery, literally write with a permanent marker on your body, not this side, right?
Which is terrifying, right? Because, you think the doctors are going to know what they're doing. And if you're getting anesthesia or whatever, you don't really have any way to know what they're doing. Although I think they also have instituted practices when patients check in and they're like, what are you here to get done?
Yeah. I actually had, so I'm going to overshare and this, everybody will really love hearing about this. So when you reach a certain age, you go and get
Certain procedures.
Colonoscopy. It's when you use a scope to look. And so oscopy means with the camera look. And so so I'm sitting there being interviewed for this right before the procedure, and one of us had said something about prostate, and I said, well, wait, what about the prostate? And the person like gaslit me. Look, we don't do anything with the prostate. So if you're here for a prostate exam, you're at the wrong place. And I'm like, I'm not the one that brought it up.
Oh, wow. But maybe it was out of this kind of like, oh no, there's the wrong procedure, or there's a hint of the wrong procedure.
Yeah, an overabundance of caution. And I was like, that's fine. I mean, if they're going to look, they look. That's basically, but it's a completely different procedure. So it was really interesting. But this person would have received a hysterectomy should they have not gone in to look at their record. It was they themselves that looked at their medical procedure record in the patient portal and said, nope, that's not right.
Amazing, because probably most people don't check that beforehand.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty wild. Okay, so let's keep on going. This is our last article. This last article is in Technology Today. Over 92,000 exposed in D-Link NAS, a network attached storage device that has a backdoor account. A threat researcher has disclosed a new arbitrary command injection and hard-coded backdoor flaw in multiple end-of-life D-Link network attached storage device models. The problem here is that these must have been in play for a considerable amount of time, considering it is the end of life of the NAS device. So Bill Toulis over at bleepingcomputer.com put this article together. The researcher who discovered the flaw, NetSecFish, explains that the issue resides within a certain CGI bin script impacting HTTP GET requests, similar to the website, the process that a website has. So this is basically a web flaw. And the two main issues contributing to the flaw are tracked as a CVE. You'll be able to go and look at these if you follow the links. Let me throw this into the chat. I'm not going to go really deep dive into this. There would be, I've got another channel that I would talk about this stuff. And it's not even Technology Today. This involves cybersecurity and stuff like that.
Oh, is this one of the shows that has not been launched yet?
Correct. So successful exploitation of this vulnerability could allow an attacker to execute arbitrary commands on the system, potentially leading in unauthorized access to sensitive information, modification of system configurations, or denial of service conditions, warns the researcher. All of which, really, the bigger problem of this, I could care less if it's denial of service conditions. I'd be able to just take it offline and access it in some other way.
Right, but not everybody could unless they're real skilled, right?
I mean, if you have a NAS, then you'll probably know about this. But yeah, I mean,
okay.
A lot of people wouldn't be able to. But my bigger problem would be that they have remote access to this for an extended period of time. They can be persistent and unknown. It's basically a horrible situation where you think you're safe and you're not. And it's through no fault of your own. So because these are all end of life, they're no longer supported. They're already in play. The spokesperson also told Bleeping Computer that the impacted devices do not have automatic online updating capabilities or customer outreach features to deliver notifications like current models. Hence, the vendor was limited to a security bulletin published yesterday to raise awareness about the flaw and the need to retire or replace these devices immediately. Pretty wild.
But, I mean, was that the first time they knew about this?
See, that's what I said when you were otherwise occupied. These things are end of life. So they've been out for years. And the security breach was just discovered.
Right, could have been, but right, you don't know when it actually occurred.
Correct. But considering it has no automatic updating, it's been there since day one. That's the implication you should have regardless. In fact, I would probably update my D-Link software for a NAS regardless of what year you bought yours, because they don't reinvent the infrastructure for a NAS just because they have a new version of it being released. This thing basically stays in play. They reuse the code. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. But all of this had a hard-coded account called Message Bus. Now this is out publicly in the wild, so anybody can start gathering telemetry and see if there is a D-Link NAS device sitting on the system.
Good.
Yeah. But this may have actually, well, no, they're saying that they discovered it. So this would be like public disclosure of a 0 day that other people may not have known about until this article was discovered. And now all kinds of people are going to come out of the woodwork trying to find D-Link NAS devices that are end of life. And it may be viable on other systems that just haven't been discovered yet. Could be a different name. Instead of Message Bus, it's something else. It's just goofy that something hard-coded even exists in something. Every security
something
system
with an empty password.
Yeah. Nothing should be hard-coded. I should be able to reset my password, recover it through various other means, but for crying out loud. Yeah, I've got one system that I keep forgetting the password. So I have to wipe it all out and reconstruct it, because once I set it up, I can leave it. I set it up to automatically patch. I set it up so that it notifies me when anything is hinky. And I don't have to do anything with it. It's just rock solid. But nothing is hard-coded. So the moment that I change the password, I'm up a creek. I have to restart everything.
It's very secure, right? You can't even get into your own account.
Yep, that's basically what Apple does. Nobody can get into your iPhone unless they have physical access and they start brute forcing it off of a forensic copy, which is very, very difficult now. Anyway, that's it for today's ohmTown Daily News Show. So we always get back into the party bus and race down Main Street. All of the articles are in the VOD. They'll be in the show notes over on YouTube and the podcast. I should start. I wonder. Yeah, don't refresh, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. Just a little word of warning here. Not really warning. This is life. ohmTown aggregates across a broad swath of topics. Why? Because I built ohmTown to be a manager of information overload. It funnels stuff into 50 different categories from many sources. It's only a little snippet. Once you become a citizen of ohmTown, you can actually just take an article let's say I don't want this one, I can sit there and swipe it and hide it. And if I want something else, I can swipe it left and it'll save it. But that only happens if you become a citizen of ohmTown. And then you end up with a little list here. Here, let me do. Yeah, I'm almost afraid to. So I can save and ignore articles. I can submit news. That is one of the perks of becoming a citizen of ohmTown. So go over and then once you're inside, you have other options. So you can click on things here. You can pin things if you have the right level of security, etc. Yeah, I don't know. Go over and have fun. ohmTown is great. Yeah, humble flex there. Okay, anyway, I'm done. I'm Merwat, and up there is the visualizer for the sentient AI. We are going to reset, and our next show is right around the corner. So up next is Reality Hacker, Season 1, Episode 14. Choo choo. You want to say bye?
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We'll see you shortly for some more shows.
Yeah. Man, do we want to do it at 6:30? You know
Sure.
what? Follow us and you'll get notified when we go live. Could be between now and 6:30. I just have to reset. See you soon. I'm so glad I don't have a D-Link NAS. Otherwise, my backdoor would be wide open.